Goucher experience is also one. It's not just learning facts, it's not just, you know, getting trained to do something, it is a mindset of curiosity and engagement.
Yeah.
So why Goucher?
Goucher seemed like a good fit. I love the proximity to my home, and I was able to afford Goucher and be an NCAA athlete.
So I actually came to Goucher to play basketball. I was recruited, and then I looked at the school on the website, and I saw that it was in a city and that there was mandatory study abroad, and I really liked that.
I came to Goucher because they have a good biology program and they had a good dance program, and I thought I was going to be a dance physical therapist.
It was on a list of schools that I could get a scholarship to. Also, there was a girl who smiled and said hi to me the first time I came on campus, and was like, "Hey, it's nice enough here."
Well, I wasn't going to go to college, really, but then I was at a point where I had to decide if I was going to go to college or not. So I sort of was just like, all the pressure, I was like, okay, fine, I'll go to college, why not Goucher?
50 colleges that change lives is why I'm here at Goucher College in Baltimore, Maryland. Yeah.
Me too. No, but literally.
No,
Me too.
It's kind of hard to compare to other schools because yeah, I've only been to this one, but I mean, I don't know, it's just hard to compare because it's such a small school that you don't really know where it stands. Like, it's kind of hard to judge where it is academically.
Being at a liberal arts institution, you gain so many more valuable skills that people at a regular university may not ever get an opportunity to learn. And especially on Goucher's campus, it's so much of a creative campus. There's so many different things happening, good, bad, and otherwise. But I think students take away so many different things from those events, so also what students are taking in and how they're involving that into their lives. Sometimes students expect to have these resources that huge universities have, and as much as we try to do as much as we can, sometimes it's just not possible.
What I like to see happen is a student having an opportunity and motivation to identify something that they are very interested in, very passionate about, and to work in partnership with them at their growth around that.
I feel like the academics are strong for a liberal arts college. Schools of each section would be a lot nicer, so we could focus our studies and be more competitive in our fields once we pending graduation.
I think the department's like really cohesive, and like the teachers all work together pretty well.
I like the discussion. So usually most of the classes are small, discussion based. I like that it's usually a pretty open environment, so you can discuss what you'd like and not be like, or pretty open-minded.
We don't have enough classes within a lot of fields. For example, our business major is very spread out. It's very little focus on any one subject, and looking for jobs and applying for internships is very hard to say I'm trying to become a specialist in a certain field of study when we don't have that field of study here at Goucher.
For the history major specifically, no concentration available. You kind of just take whatever they offer because they don't have a big enough department. For art history, same thing.
I do really like the bio department. However, I think that they definitely pick their favorite students and then don't really help others very much.
I love the science department because I think I'm getting a great education, but I have not been impressed with my classes outside of the science department.
Coming here, I was always like, I loved my classes, but I knew that not everyone would love their classes because not everyone gets along with their professors. Not everyone likes, I personally really don't like any kind of bureaucracy. An issue with kind of the academic program of school, and I've discussed this with some faculty members, and other students is that we compartmentalize classes way too much, and we don't create spaces in the margins between when students leave classes and when they get back for them to learn and for them to synthesize what they've learned and reach new outcomes and find solutions.
I think for a small school, we need to work a little more on authentic engagement with one another. And by that I mean not this sort of, I think there's a desire to sort of interdepartmentally, staff and faculty, faculty, students, you know, there may be a deep desire to let's communicate more, let's have more, you know, connections with one another. But for whatever reason, I think we need to define a little bit more clearly what does effective communication look like on campus.
Every single year, all over the place, but so commonly we hear from students who have graduated who are really struggling, who never came to see us, not even once. So the resources are there, but if the student isn't taking advantage of them, sometimes they hinder themselves in being prepared. So I think it's also a question of, are the services and the support there that's necessary for the student, but then also is the student actually utilizing those resources in order for Goucher to really prepare them for life after college.
This year I've had probably 5 students that come to every one, and they'll come in with questions, and we'll just sit through the entire hour and go through problems on the board, and I'll try and explain any concepts that they're not understanding, or etc. They seem to really, it seems to help them.
When you have academic issues, like, who do you talk to?
No one. I just figure it out myself.
Like, it's really interesting because they'll always give me like critiques and feedback, but they usually say, yeah, you're about good. And then sometimes it's a little frustrating because then my next the teacher will be like, well, you need to change all of these things, and it's like, okay.
I used ACE last semester like maybe 3 times, which was helpful, except I wasn't following what they were saying, so didn't want to waste their time any longer.
It's a growth thing. I think it's something that they have to kind of come to themselves, their own understanding of recognizing that asking for help is probably one of the most courageous acts that you as a student can make.
Well, this is Goucher, so things, they change a lot, which is it's actually a good thing. It means that the faculty is always thinking, how can we do it better? But it also means that things change. When I came here, I know you know what the whole history of advising at Goucher. There were special first-year advisors, and everybody got a certain number of advisees, first-year students, and the idea was to match them up by possible major. There wasn't Frontiers at that point, and then that went for a while, and that seemed to work, but then there weren't enough people, so then everybody got some first-year advisees, and that didn't seem to work because there were special, you know, there should be a special relationship between incoming students, first-year students, and the advisor.
So what's your relationship with your professors? Do you have a good relationship, like, outside of class?
Of course I do, naturally.
Okay, what do you do outside of class with your professors?
I don't know, I meet with them, and I'll like let them know how I'm doing and that type of shit. I don't know, it's pretty fun.
Freshman year, you have to make a big effort to for your professors to get to know you, but once you get past like the beginning level of a department, I think the professors do get to know you. My professors, most of them know my name.
I think my professors in my major are very intelligent, very smart and experts within their field of study, and just wish there was more of them.
They do know my name, and usually inside class, I like to participate, so usually, do that. And then outside of class, if I have a question, English, well, we have our meetings, individual meetings.
I definitely think professors can be both the best and worst thing about academics. For example, I just had a meeting with one of my professors, and she just made my life seem so much better. And if the professors can relate to what the students are going through, then I think that's a big positive. If they can't, then that really messes things up.
Do you know that Goucher is in the process of redoing their academic strategic plan?
Yes, I did hear that, and I know they changed it like 2 years ago, so I was kind of surprised to hear that again, that they're still unhappy with it.
How did you hear about that?
I think just overhearing the professors talk.
Okay, so you didn't hear it from a student, you heard it from
No.
teachers. Has ACE been a part of academics, Goucher's academic strategic planning?
We have not. We have not been, which is something that I think it's mostly been the faculty, and then we have had presentations by faculty, and we've been to those presentations, but we haven't, if you mean like have we been part of those committees, we have not been invited to do that.
Do you feel like you would have something to add to the discussion?
Absolutely.
How is student input incorporated into the academic strategic planning, or do you feel like there's a lack of it?
I think there should be more. There are, and to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how student voices were incorporated in the strategic plan. Everything is really discussed by the faculty. At faculty meetings, we have special retreats. We're going to have a retreat in May. We had one in January, and it's constant discussion. What are we doing? What's our mission? What do we want students to get from Goucher?
I am somewhat concerned that in the process of putting together the academic strategic plan, there has not been a formal mechanism for involving student input into the dialogue that we're having. Part of the process of this place would be to be able to have engagement and input from students, because I think we would all agree that one of the things that we hope people get out of a Goucher education is a recognition and a confidence in their own capacity to participate in the communities that they're members of and be heard.
So I think the credit limit really hinders people, and then the new dancers audit policy is going to really affect everybody. I just heard a senior talk about, she said if she had to take all of her dance classes for credit, she would have been taking 24 credits per semester.
Who here dances? Okay, so who here is a dance major? So there's a lot of people who are not dance majors but are still active in the department. And then who here is a double major? And who came to the Goucher's dance department specifically because you could double major and did not have to just do dance?
Hi. Okay, so I probably am going to repeat everything everyone has already said. But speaking from the junior class, I dance seriously, and next year is when I should be taking so many technique classes because I need to be in the best shape I can be in. And I'm with Maya in being a minor in communications, but now because of this, I can't really do my communications classes because I need to actually be in my technique classes, fully training and all that stuff. So I know you have to put this policy in at some point, but it's really hard, especially on the junior class.
If you can get me your suggestions by Monday, suggestions for alternatives, I will look at those, I will consult with other people next week, and I will try and get some answers to Liz that she can disseminate next week. I've heard what you've said. I will take that back to Beth. I will do my best to present it accurately. I don't want to harm the quality of the program. I don't want to harm your ability to get a great education.
The thing that's really important to know is that when I took this position 4 years ago, a lot of the changes and a lot of the programming that we put in place was came directly out of course, we did a lot of research, read a lot of contemplative practices, but I also really felt that it was important to talk to students, to really ask what their needs were, to really find out what kinds of support that they are truly seeking, and how can their academic support, what would be their vision. And it was very interesting because a lot of what we put in place was out of conversations. And so what we see now is really a reflection of what students articulated to me.
How many students would you say use your services?
I can give you an exact number. Last year when we went through our numbers, 51% of Goucher students utilized our services.
Wow.
Yeah. So this year it's probably a lot more.
You know what you're gonna do after Goucher? Life after Goucher, like job-wise, things like that?
No, I'm still deciding on if I want to be rich or I want to be happy. So if I want to be rich, I'll probably become a professor, an accountant, financial planner, something along those lines. If I want to be happy, I'm going to go into the field of coaching. So I'm looking to get my master's degree in business while I'm a coach, so I can have some time to make that decision.
Do you feel Goucher has prepared you for life after college, or like workforce and things like that?
Again, my field of study hasn't been too direct, it hasn't been too narrow, so it's hard to say how it's going to pan out in the long run.
What are you going to do after graduation? Or do you have any plans?
Like to get an internship doing something, and maybe do the Peace Corps, something like that, and then maybe graduate school.
I'm going back to Prague to teach English. I think like Goucher's involvement in that was like the study abroad requirement, and that like drastically changed my life.
Now that I'm here and I've experienced everything, it's hard to go back. I'm not the type of person to change what's already happened, but I would like everything to be the same in my life, but I would want Goucher to have what I'm looking for.
If you got to choose colleges all over again, would you pick Goucher?
Ooh. Do I have like really good grades? Like, can I go anywhere?
You can go anywhere.
You do it all over again, would you still pick Goucher?
Oh yeah.
No doubt.
But if I wasn't a science major, I wouldn't pick Goucher.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
If you can do it all over again, pick your college all over again, would you still pick Goucher?
That's a damn good question. Probably not. I don't know.
At least we're trying, right? At least there's an intention there. So we'll grow.
Kim, this is not candid, okay? This is just gross.
I made Ferrocene.
Yay! Well, you isolated Ferrocene.
Isolated, whatever.
Woo.
Isolated.
Whatever. Isolated. I isolated.
Do you think Goucher's campus is diverse?
I guess compared to like a Kenny Chesney concert.
This is where voiceover happens.